I'm Chloe Lianos, a member of the Slovenian presidency of the Council of the EU's research team. I'll be one of the conference co-moderators, guiding you through the coming 2 stimulating days. I'm joined by Gary.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Gary Loke, and I'm very pleased to be one of your co-moderators for this conference. I've worked on gender equality for a very long time, including projects like Athena Swan and a number of European projects. So really pleased to be joining you here today and being one of your co-moderators today.
It's a real pleasure to be moderating this joint conference between the Slovenian presidency of the Council of the EU and the Horizon 2020 Gender Action project. As you may know, Gender Action is a Horizon 2020 funded project, and it's brought together representatives of national authorities from member states and associated countries to map the progress in implementing gender equality policy in research and innovation through national European research area action plans and strategies. It's provided mutual learning opportunities and capacity building for national representatives, and this conference is a culmination of the project. This conference is actually quite a good demonstration of the impact of Gender Action as it's brought the different member states together, and showcased by the fact that the Slovenian presidency of the Council of the EU is co-hosting this event. It's really heartening to see gender equality at the heart of the Europe agenda, and that the Slovenian presidency has chosen gender equality, as one of its priority topics, especially as they continue laying the foundations for the implementation of the new era. Now for a bit of housekeeping. Gary?
So before we have our first speaker, the Minister Simona Kustec from the Slovenian government, who will be opening the conference, just a reminder about some housekeeping for today. All the speaker biographies and a detailed program and policy documents relevant to the conference are available on the Gender Action website, as well as the main conference website through which you'll be watching this conference. If you do use Twitter and you wish to tweet about the conference, then the hashtag for today is #DeepeningEra. During the sessions today, you will have an opportunity to interact with our panelists by asking questions. In the live discussion box, which should appear on the bottom right hand of your screen, there is a questions section. Please pose your questions in that function so that we can then look at them and pose them to the panelists throughout the day and tomorrow as well. This morning, we will hear about what has been achieved through the project and through the various member states, and set the scene for future action in terms of what the speakers think about in terms of gender equality in the new era. We will have 2 speakers this morning. We will have our first speaker, the Minister Simona Kustec, the Minister for Education, Science and Sport from the government of the Republic of Slovenia, as well as Commissioner Mariya Gabriel, European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education, Youth and Youth from the European Commission. We are just waiting the entry of our first speaker, the Minister, who I think may be joining us shortly.
Yes, and we really do want to bring these couple of days as dynamic as possible. So please do send in all those questions through that live discussion functionality. I think there's also the ability for you to be able to chat to each other as well. So do take this opportunity to be able to have a conversation between yourselves. It's unfortunate we can't be together in person, but at least we have the virtual tools in front of us at our fingertips to be able to have as stimulating a conversation in a couple of days as possible.
Yes, and exactly as Chloe said, we have over 200 participants at the conference today and tomorrow. So please do use the chat function to interact with each other. It's a shame, like Chloe says, if this was a real life conference, you'd be chatting over coffees, you'll be meeting people in little breakout discussions. But perhaps if you would like to use the chat, introduce yourself and say who's in the conference platform, where you're from, why you're interested in this area of work, what you think needs to happen in terms of gender equality in the new era. That will get some of this discussion going, and it's almost like an interaction between different sessions at a real conference.
Spoštovana komisarka, spoštovani cenjeni govorci, predstavniki današnje konference, spoštovane raziskovalke in raziskovalci, spoštovani drugi vsi pomembni današnji gostje. Dobro jutro in lep pozdrav iz Ljubljane. Dear Commissioner Mariya Gabriel, dear speakers, dear participants, dear researchers and other important stakeholders of today's meeting. Good morning from sunny Ljubljana. It is with great honor and pleasure, but at the same time also a great responsibility, that I welcome and address you today at this important conference, the first among many to come in times of Slovenian presidency to the Council of European Union in the field of research and innovation. Our aim today is to discuss, to share practices and experiences, to identify why and how the European research area needs to be dependent also through gender equality. I am sure that we all share a vision that exactly today's and tomorrow's topics of gender equality in science and research reflect an image of more just and more equal era in an everyday real life conditions. When discussing about gender equality, I would first like to be very clear and straightforward. It is only the equal starting points and opportunities that we all need to strive for according to our European value systems and norms. It is not enough to speak about this sensitive and moral issue only at the level of principles. This debate needs to be founded on evidences, on the collected, monitored, and further evaluated data. So let's see what do the numbers tell us so far. Key figures from 2018 data show that the overall progress in the European Union on gender equality is slow. Although the data on gender equality and PhDs in the European Union is encouraging, in fact, nearly balanced, data from the same data figures show that afterwards, only 33.4% of women represent the research community. 22% of women held the highest positions in higher education. 24% of women holds the title of professor. According to UNESCO data from 2016, these are the latest that are officially available, the share of full-time or part-time employed women scientists is 29.3% all over the world. The highest, 48% in Central Asia, 45% in Latin America and the Caribbean, the similar number in the Arab countries, then followed by Central and Eastern Europe with 39.3%. Slightly over 30% of women researchers in science are, according by scientifically defined criteria of democracy, in the most democratically developed countries of Northern and Western Europe, practically identical to those in sub-Saharan Africa, but still noticeably higher than in South and West Asia, one of the toppest world research communities, which ranks lowest on the global scale with a share of 18.5% employed women scientists. Further, more qualitative-based studies show that the glass wall systemic barriers within organizations and research culture can still be identified, meaning that talent alone is not a sufficient guarantee of success, that both conscious and unconscious cultural and institutional criteria are still very much alive in everyday treatment of women in science and research. Similarly, as the analysis and data in business and politics world would say. Due to all the stated, the continuation of more than 20 years old European activities of promoting gender equality in research are yet still more than needed, with a refreshed and matured approach being undertaken for the near future. In recent years, Member states, the European Commission, and research institutions have implemented major initiatives to advance gender equality in research and innovation in the European research area frameworks. These efforts must continue and expand for research and innovation to contribute to the resilience and quality of our democratic institutions, but also sustainability and competitiveness in and of the European Union. This is why we are calling for the prioritization of gender equality also in the new era. And we are calling through the draft Ljubljana Declaration. Gendered competence gaps must not damage the fruits of a just transition. We must allow all researchers to fully reach their potentials. We therefore must ensure that besides everything else, also gender equality and inclusiveness are central to the Pact for Research and Innovation in Europe. A couple of words about the draft Ljubljana Declaration. This is a joint proposal across our trio and the next, building on the Gender Equality Strategy 2025. It has been developed through a bottom-up process. That means that we were listening to the voice of the scientists and researchers, their everyday working perceptions and experiences. And it is for this very reason why we would also like to invite all the European Union member states and other countries to join us in being proactive with mainstreaming gender across research to ensure a just green transition, triggering new inclusive ways of life for all and new opportunities for jobs and research. And we need to do this together, not only the member states, but together with the whole research community that lives these topics, these problems and issues in their everyday working conditions. But in the framework, the position of the member state, one of the member states that is right now being on the lead to the Council of the European Union, our task now is to sincerely invite, especially all EU member states and other countries that would like to express their support for the draft Ljubljana Declaration, to give their voice and to do so. The text right now is still in a working version type of a document, and you are all very much welcome to contribute to its final wording. Tomorrow, the process of its preparation and your collaboration in this regard will be also presented in detail through the conference schedule, together with the draft version of the declaration. And my aim is to present the final version of the Ljubljana Declaration to the EU Ministers of Research on 29th of September in Brussels, asking them to express their final full support to it. At this point, I would also like to express a very special thanks and gratitude to our Commissioner Mariya Gabriel for the great work of the European Commission requiring public bodies bidding for Horizon Europe tenders to adopt gender equality plans. This initiative, this measure, strongly supported by the draft Ljubljana Declaration, will help address gender equality in employment and career advancement, gender balance in leadership and decision-making, working-life balance, and measures to prevent gender-based violence. As in all areas of society, we need to address the problem of gender-based violence in the research community decisively. Dear respectful participants, professors, researchers, experts, colleagues, let me conclude with a short but very deep and wise thought of Professor Christiane Niselin-Vollhardt, a German molecular biologist and academic, one of the few Nobel laureates, by the way, less than 10% of women have received this award in the last 15 years. She said that in mathematics and science, there is no difference in the intelligence of men and women. The difference in genes between men and women is simply in the Y chromosome, which has nothing to do with intelligence. I wish you all the best, many fruitful discussions and creative ideas during both conference days and far afterwards, during your brave and breathtaking work and findings. And don't forget to reserve your calendar also for Maria Skłodowska-Curie Actions Conference, which will be held by our presidency in November, with the main aim to stay in shape, to continue our work and debate on gender equality in research, science, and innovation. My tribute and respect to all of you. Stay healthy.
Sincere thanks to Minister Kustec for her time this morning, and of course touching on tomorrow's highlights, where we'll discuss more about the draft Ljubljana Declaration. But without taking up any more time on that note, it's with great pleasure that I introduce Commissioner Mariya Gabriel, the European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth. Commissioner Gabriel has been central to the great work embedding gender equality plans, putting gender at the heart of the new era. And Commissioner, without further ado, I'll welcome you to take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, dear Minister Kustec, dear Simona, dear researchers, ladies and gentlemen. I have been looking forward to joining Minister Kustec at one of the first presidency conferences on making gender equality and gender mainstreaming a reality for women researchers, innovators, and scientists across the European research area. So I think that we have a common starting point, and that's the question: what is the current reality on the ground? Many of you know it well because you live it every day. But let me start by presenting some facts and figures, so to be sure that we are all on the same page when we speak about gender equality in research and innovation. I will start with some good news. We have almost reached gender parity at PhD level in all fields considered. Our own Mariya Skłodowska-Curie women researchers make up more than 41% of the program's fellows, far above the average of the European research population. And this percentage is even higher among doctoral candidates, 45%, and postdoctoral fellows, 42%, funded by the program. But all disciplines considered, only a third of researchers in the European Union are women, and women occupy just 26% of top academic positions and in only 18% of engineering and technology. Among heads of higher education institutions, the gap is still huge, with women holding less than 24% of these positions. Even more striking, women represent less than 11% of patent holders, while all women teams found only 8% of European startups, and only 25% are founded by a team with at least one woman. At the same time, Women's research and innovation careers have been disproportionately affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And women and girls have been at the front lines of the response by researching vaccines and pioneering treatments and taking care of patients and our children and youth. And as innovators, researchers, and educators, they will also lead us towards a safer and more inclusive recovery. We must continue to support them, to inspire the next generation of girls to be forces of good in science and tech. Allow me to give you one example in order to explain why institutional support is so important. Many discoveries made the COVID-19 vaccine possible, and one of those was the Hungarian-born Katalin Karikó, whose idea that mRNA could be used to fight disease was deemed too radical, too financially risky to fund at the time. She applied for grant after grant, but kept getting resource rejections. Nevertheless, she persisted, and eventually she and her former colleagues developed a method of utilizing synthetic mRNA to fight disease. And that discovery is now the basis of the COVID-19 vaccines. So what does this tell us? Institutional support is vital, and so is our belief in ourselves. And I would like to briefly share with you the institutional change we are aiming in the renewed European research area and how we are supporting it. First, we work together with the member states, universities, research organizations, and funders to develop and implement inclusive gender equality plans. They are proven to be one of the most transformative tools to achieve long-term sustainable advancement towards gender equality in research and innovation and this institutional change approach. In practice, we ask that public bodies, research and higher education institutions have to have in place a gender equality plan to apply for funding from Horizon Europe. To avoid a tick-of-the-box exercise, these plans must fulfill 4 mandatory requirements. The plan has to be public, and the top management has to have a clear role in implementing it, and dedicated resources and expertise. Data collection and monitoring are key, as well as training and awareness raising on unconscious gender biases for staff and management. Needless to say that such a plan should be tailored to each organization's mission, history, and content. Still, we think that there are some minimum areas to address. Areas such as work-life balance and organizational culture, leadership and decision-making, recruitment and career progression, integrating the gender dimension into research and teaching content, and measures against sexual harassment and other sort of violence. So we do not start from scratch. As highlighted recently by the member states and reported upon by the Horizon 2020 funded project GENDERACTION, there are already some excellent examples of national level policies supporting the uptake of gender equality plans. There are great examples already of research and academic institutions across the EU that effectively implement gender equality plans, and some of which are among the more than 200 organizations that we have been funding since Framework Program 7 to design and implement such plans. Another strand that we are focusing on is to help researchers have the natural reflex to integrate the gender dimension and inclusiveness from the onset in their research. Integrating sex and gender balance analysis into research and innovation, and adopting an inclusive approach that also considers intersecting social categories such as ethnicity, age, or disability is a matter of producing excellent research to the benefit of all European citizens. And this is why in Horizon Europe, the integration of the gender dimension into research and innovation content is a requirement by default. it is part of the evaluation of proposals under the excellence criterion. We also want to increase the gender balance throughout the program with a target of 50% women in Horizon Europe related boards, expert groups, and evaluations committee. And I must say that here, for me, it's really important to listen to you today, because as you can see, we have objectives, we have now novelties, but it will be up to us to join forces and to succeed to achieve better results. I stayed focused here on the European research area and what is new in Horizon Europe program. But of course, we always have to take into consideration the link with women innovators and women in education. That's why very briefly, I would like to bring to your attention how important is the European Innovation Council in order to increase the participation of women in disruptive technologies. We believe in them. How important is to have more girls in STEM education. So I think that what we need here is always to say that analyses are showing that there is no difference in the competencies of boys and girls in science. Gender differences become more pronounced when young people go to university and opt for scientific subjects and careers. Therefore, promoting female participation in STEM fields and research in higher education is very, very important. So I think that in conclusion, what I would like to say is that not a single member state, yet a long country, can boast on being gender equal in research and innovation. This is a fact that is widening social economic gaps and stalling European prosperity. This is why, as European Commission, that's our wish to work closely with our member states, with our stakeholders, and that's why we would like to have this Council recommendation to reaffirm gender equality as a core European research value. It is crucial to turn this guiding principle into joint action, and I commend Slovenia and Minister Kustec for, on one side, following up on Germany and Portugal, and now leading the way to the next presidency trio. Thank you very much, and I look forward to continuing our joint efforts to make gender equality and broad inclusiveness a reality in the European research area. I wish you an excellent conference.
Sincere thanks, Commissioner. That was thought-provoking, and it definitely sets the scene for the coming sessions that we have over this conference. You touched on the gender equality plans. Well, that's session 2 today at 11:45, where we'll hear a bit more. Once again, thank you to Minister Kustec and Commissioner Gabriel for their welcome addresses, kicking off the packed agenda we have in store for our delegates over the coming 2 days. Well, what's next? We'll now share a short video presenting the great achievements of the Gender Action Project. If we could have the video, please.